All right, people. So I just finished watching the so-called Raw Legends night, which was legendarily shit. I mean, this episode reminded me of why I discontinued watching Raw, and I will continue not to watch this show moving forward. I really just want to get this off my chest. I'm gonna do a more formal review of this and upload it by tomorrow. But this was Legends Night, right? I mean, it was Legends Night. We were supposed to have all these legends on it, and they totally wasted these legends and they disrespected them. So you got people like Hulk Hogan. All he did was a 1 minute backstage segment and then sat there and watched the match. Like, what the fuck is that? Hulk Hogan is probably the greatest wrestler of all time, and the only thing you could do with him is a one backstage segment and then have him sit and watch a match on a fucking chair. That's all you can do with him. Are you kidding me? You got Booker T. They were saying, "Oh, Booker T is going to be on this episode." All he did was sit and watch the main event. How can you advertise that as being serious? So you had all these people that weren't even given their own segment. All they did was be in a backstage segment here and there. I mean, they couldn't on this 3 hour show of Raw. They couldn't even give these legends their own segments. They couldn't at least involve them with other members of the main roster in a segment, in a promo, in some way or another. You got Ric Flair, who's one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, and they can't even give him his own entrance. It's like, well, they paying into this diva. Oh, we got a divas match coming up, and Ric Flair is out at ringside here, not even giving him his own entrance. One of the greatest wrestlers of all time. You got a fucking 3 hour show. You don't got 45 seconds to give Ric Flair his own entrance. Are you kidding me? I mean, this is a shit that wrestling fans have to put up with, that WWE fans have to put up with week after week after week. But they're not going to give Ric Flair his own, entrance. But of course, they're going to put on match after match after match. It doesn't mean shit that nobody wants to watch. You got Mark Henry backstage rolling around on a scooter getting embarrassed by Randy Orton. And you might say, well, Ruthless Ranter, you don't want you want the younger talent to go over. And I agree with that. I don't want people like Goldberg, which I will get to in a second, burying the younger people on the roster. But you can lose with dignity. You can get your ass kicked with dignity. You can put over talent, but still keep your worth and your dignity. Mark Henry rolling off on a scooter, the so-called world's strongest man. I mean, that just looked pathetic, and it was an insult to Mark Henry, who has been billed as a world's strongest man for 20 fucking years, rolling off on a scooter, and that's the last you saw of him. You can get RKO'd, but still look tough, still look like you're standing up to Randy Orton. So you had all these legends in like 30-second backstage segments, which was just awful. And it just shows how stupid this creative team is, which I always refer to as the non-creative team, because they don't create anything. They just ruin everything. You got all these big names, all these mainstream names, all these people that were big draws, but all they get is a 30-second backstage segment. And then to top it all, and I also want to talk about Ric Flair too, because they could have actually done something interesting with that. Because Ric Flair's the ladies' man. They always used to bill him as that was kind of one of his things, right? The ladies love him, right? And they were kind of hinting to that with one of the bitches in the Divas match. I don't know her name because I haven't watched this show in quite a long, couple of years. And I'm like, well, that's actually an interesting idea. They could have a little angle, like it's just a little angle for this 1 week where, maybe Ric Flair got with the bitch, slept with her, ate her out, whatever the fuck you want to do with that. But instead, because it's a PG show, which shouldn't be PG, because it doesn't make sense to have a PG show that involves violence, because normally we try to steer our kids away from violence because we realize that's not a good thing to show, kids who still have developing brains that can't comprehend, shit like this. But no, let's make wrestling a violent show where people try to hurt each other. A PG show, that makes sense, right? But anyway, since it's a PG show, you can't go with an angle like, well, Ric Flair slept with his girl, so he's trying to make her win, even or maybe you could have even said that she promised that she would have slept with Ric Flair if Ric Flair helped her win them. You could do something interesting, something TV 14 with it if you were back in the day in the Attitude Era, and I guarantee you they would have done something like that if it was still TV 14 and you still had that culture. But since it's PG, they were like, well, we got a rumor that Ric Flair was talking with this girl. Like, what? Talking? What the fuck is that? So that pissed me off. And then to top it all off at the end, to top off a show that already made me want to puke and already disgusted me because they couldn't use these legends properly. And again, I'm not saying I'm a big non-advocate of having these legends come back and being thrust into main event spots or given titles. But I'm not saying that you can't do something like a segment here and there with a legend and have a good fucking promo. And the last time I talked about this, I made the reference of when they returned Bret Hart back in 2012, because that's just one of them that came to my mind. I'm sure there's been others where they had Bret Hart come back in 2012. And for one night, he did a promo with CM Punk, and it was a good 15-minute promo. I remember it. It was good. I enjoyed it. And that's how legends should be used if they come back. Not a fucking 1-minute backstage segment and not going over younger talent and winning a championship title when they are 55 years old, which brings me to the last part of the night. So you had a match between Drew McIntyre and Keith Lee. It was a decent, decent match. Despite the non-existent fans chanting, "This is awesome," it was not an awesome match. It was maybe you could argue a decent match. It was not a great match, people. There was a couple good spots in it. You had Keith Lee trying to be a fucking luchador in the first minute of the match, where he tried to jump over Drew McIntyre and couldn't even get up. That was not a good start to the match. It was really kind of a slow, boring match with a couple nice spots. I got to give them credit. That was a nice Spanish fly off the top rope there. An okay table spot, even though Drew McIntyre didn't hit it properly. He put Keith Lee on the corner there, which, I mean, it still looked like it hurt, but it was not executed properly. But it was a good spot. So, I mean, it was an all right match. The one problem I got is at the end of the match, there's no selling. So Drew McIntyre hits Keith Lee with his finisher, and then in 30 seconds, Keith Lee is up, giving him a fist bump. Like, where's the selling? There is no selling anymore. Finishers mean nothing. Moves mean nothing. Wrestlers just get up in 10 seconds now from a fucking finisher. There's no selling. And I made the same comment when I forget what it was, but there was like a table spot done to, I think it was Drew McIntyre at the last pay-per-view when he got up in like 1 minute. Like, there's no selling. It's like, well, let's lay there for a couple minutes and take a moment and let the crowd soak in what just happened. Don't get up in fucking 30 seconds. Like, sell the move, sell the maneuver. Everything WWE, I'm reading comments. Everything WWE puts on sucks ass. Tonight was a Legends night. Yeah, tonight was a Legends night. And like I said, it was legendarily bad. I mean, but like I said, then Goldberg returns at the end of the night, right? And challenges Drew McIntyre. So they're bringing back he's like 50 some years old, 55 years old, 25 years past his prime. They're bringing back Goldberg for I guess they're going to do a match at the Royal Rumble, Goldberg versus Drew McIntyre. I mean, how low can this company get? How shitty can this company get when you're bringing back people that are this old to fight in matches? It's just insane, and I cannot believe it. And I keep saying you only have so many spots that you can build new talent in that can contribute to the building of it, of that next John Cena, of that next Randy, of your next big draw, the next big draw that's going to be here. Your next Batista, your next Undertaker. You only have so many opportunities to contribute to the building of that new star. And if you keep putting people like Goldberg in those spots, and one of those spots would be your WWE title match at the Royal Rumble, then you're not going to build those new stars. And eventually you're going to get to a point where these people can physically not compete anymore, like Sting, who almost died in a match a few years ago, collapsed in the middle of the ring. I'm reading comments again. They can't seem to let go of bringing back Legends thing. They have been doing this since Cena Rock 2011. The 77-year-old Undertaker is going to have to save Mania in 20 years. I mean, I wouldn't doubt it. Like people are talking about Sting as AEW World Champion now. And I wouldn't doubt something like that would happen in WWE, where like a 60-year-old became champion. Because of their inability to build new stars and to build new talents and to draw new fans into watching this. And ratings just seem to keep dropping lower and lower and lower. And we'll see what happens in the next 5 to 10 years with this company. But if the ratings keep dropping, like, I don't see how they're going to keep making money. And what, again, the main problem stems from the creative team's inability, or what I call them, the non-creative team's ability to really build new talents, to build new stars. I mean, you even look at somebody like AJ Styles. He made his name in TNA. So it's like WWE they didn't really build any new stars in the 2010s. I mean, yeah, they built people, they built wrestlers, but they didn't build that next Cena or that next Orton, or anything like that. Remember when they said in 2018, we are the authorities now, nothing changed? Yeah, I mean, they've done that a lot of times. Well, things are changing. Remember the Divas Revolution? I mean, they always do all these gimmicks and nothing ever changes. It's the same old shit. I watched a couple clips on YouTube, and Ric Flair really looked embarrassing. Yeah, that storyline, that little mini storyline that they did with, like, I didn't even understand it. Like, so like he was double crossing his daughter Charlotte for some reason, and they're like, the announcers are like, oh well, we heard rumors that Ric Flair was talking to the diva backstage or something like. And again, because it's PG, they couldn't make an interesting angle out of it, or like a funny angle, like, well, Ric Flair was trying to get some pussy, so he double crossed his daughter to try to get some pussy, because it's a PG show, which shouldn't be PG, because we all know violence is not for children, but they try to make it for children. So they couldn't even do a funny angle like that, because it's a PG show. It's family entertainment, guys. It's for the whole family to watch. I mean, how many families do you know that sit around the TV on Monday Night Raw watching this shit? Hardly any. Ryback said they don't want new talents because they don't want to pay them more money. Well, I don't know. How is that true? Because they got to be paying people like Goldberg, Undertaker. They got to be paying them millions of dollars to be on, to come back just for like 1 or 2 matches. So, I don't know about that. Like, you got to have people on the show. And I mean, it doesn't cost anything to build new talents. Like, that's what you got to do. Like, you got to build new fucking talents. Like, you got to pay somebody. Like, somebody's got to get paid, and they're definitely paying these people that come back for 1 or 2 matches a lot of money just to wrestle in 1 or 2 matches. So I don't know if that's true or not, but I find it hard to believe. But that's why you got to put in the investment, right? You put in the investment of building new stars so that you can be a sustainable company for the next 5, 10, 15 years and have good shit on TV that people will be willing to pay for. Because I'm not willing to drop $10 a month on the network when it's this shitty. I'm not even willing to drop 50 cents a month on the network. I haven't watched a Raw since 2010 August with the Raw reunion show, and even that was shit. Yeah, I mean, this is just another example. They got all the superpower in the world, all the star power in the world with Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, and they can't even put on good segments. They can't even involve them in good segments. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, this kick off the show, they had Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods doing a segment with Morrison and Miz, which I'm not saying those wrestlers are shitty or anything like that, but why couldn't they involve like a couple legends in that segment? Right? Why couldn't they have Ric Flair come out or Booker T come out or some famous tag team come out or just somebody come out and make it interesting? Instead, they have this shitty fucking promo to begin the show, which has Teddy Long coming out. Which again, here's another example. Teddy Long's not like some great legend, or I mean, he's a quality character of most memorably the general manager of SmackDown during the Ruthless Aggression era. It's not like he's like a top 10 legend or anything, but how many times are they going to have Teddy Long return to come out and announce a tag team match? It's like they can't do something else. Like they can't create anything. They can't have like Teddy Long be the guest GM for one day. No, it's just him coming out for 30 seconds, dancing and looking like a fucking goof, and then announcing a tag team match. That's what I'm talking about. No creativity. They can't have a couple legends interacting with Kofi Kingston or The Miz to begin the show. No. It's shitty 30-second backstage segment promos. Let me just read more comments here. New talent today can't even draw that much as legend. Who can blame them? I don't understand that. That count. New talent today can't. Oh, new talent today can't even draw that much as a legend. Well, I'm not saying that. I understand. It is kind of late here, people. And it's not all their faults. I mean, a lot of these people from NXT and the Indies, whatever, they're good talents. I mean, Kevin Owens is a good talent. Dolph Ziggler's a good talent, but a lot of the problem stems from the creative team's inability to build interesting storylines, to build interesting characters, to make interesting matches. I mean, it's not like Steve Austin was like the greatest wrestler of all time. It's not like he was doing 450 splashes from the top rope through a flaming table. But he was an interesting character. He cut interesting promos that made people want to watch his matches. Raw has been 3 hours since July 2012, and they haven't put on one decent show since then. Yeah, this 3 hour show is just awful. It's too much. I mean, who the fuck has time to watch 3 hours? And who the fuck wants to? I mean, most people, right? They get home from work at 5, 6 o'clock on a Monday. They eat dinner and shower up, whatever. And then you watch 3 hours of Raw. There goes your whole Monday. Like, I don't want to sit on my couch and watch, even if a show is good. Like, I don't want to be obligated to watch 3 hours a week. And on top of that, you got SmackDown, you got NXT, you got 205 Live, and you got the pay-per-views, and you got shows on the network. So, like, if you want to be like a diehard wrestling fan, you have to devote probably like 10 to 15 hours of your week just to wrestling. On the other hand, let's say you want to be a diehard, Walking Dead fan. You only have 14 episodes a year to watch, or just pick any show out of a fucking hat. Let's say you want to be a diehard. I think Game of Thrones is over now, but you want to watch Game of Thrones. Like, it's only got, most shows only have like 14, 15 viewing hours a year to watch. Wrestling, on the other hand, has like 15 viewing hours a week to watch. It's out of control. And again, they don't utilize the 3 hours properly. It's like you got all these legends on here, and you can't even devote any time to them. Like, who the fuck wants to watch, shitty Divas matches or fucking jobber matches? God, I hate the New Day. Yeah, the New Day's been a thing now for what, almost 10 years. I mean, it's crazy. And I guess Big E's gone on his own now. I don't know what the fuck's happening with them. They were good. I remember back in the day when they were a heel faction, they were good. But now it's like the people are probably getting tired of them. Um, do I wish Vince would die so Raw would get better? I mean, I don't wish death on anybody, but and I'm not a doctor, and I don't like to speculate on people's health or anything like that. But one's got to ask. Vince is getting up there in years, so who knows how competent he is to run a company, $1 billion company. Um, he definitely doesn't look as healthy and vibrant as he once did, and that's pretty evident from his promos of late. I mean, he's coming out there, and I'm really worried for the guy. Um, Ryback said that he was in poor health. Who knows if that's true or not? But um, do I wish Vince? I mean, I don't wish death on anybody. I just wish he would step aside and let other people take control of this company because he obviously is not doing a good job. Because the product is shit. The shows are unwatchable, and since he is the head of the company, since he is the in charge, right? He's the boss. That responsibility ultimately comes back to him. If his creative team sucks, the responsibility is on him. So I mean, something's got to change. And maybe if he leaves, things will get better. I don't know, but he's obviously not done a good job. And this product has consistently gone downhill and gotten worse and worse and worse since the end of the Attitude Era. And I'm not saying the Ruthless Aggression Era was shit. I mean, it was obviously good, but just the product has gotten worse and worse and worse since then. Um, Let me read some more comments here. This PC culture has a lot to do with why wrestling is horrible and why it can't be edgy and have compelling storylines anymore. I mean, I totally agree. Um, the PC culture has ruined a lot of things in my life and everybody's life. Nobody could have fun anymore. Nobody could joke around anymore. You tell a joke, next thing you know, you get fucking fired from your job or they're demanding an apology from you. I mean, I was watching Sunday Night Football, or I think Monday or Sunday Night Football a few weeks ago, and I heard Chris Collinsworth was, commending. He said he was talking with some women Pittsburgh Steelers fans, and he was very surprised at how much knowledge of football they had, and he got called sexist for that and was forced to apologize. I mean, the PC culture is ridiculous, and the funny thing is they're a vocal minority. They're totally a minority, but they're so demanding and they're always looking for something to get offended at. And the same can be said with wrestling. They don't want to offend this vocal minority of people, and you see that, and it's most evident in the Divas division with people like Becky Lynch trotting her stupid ass out there, calling herself a man, and all the fucking feminists and PC people. They love that, right? They love a woman going out there calling herself a man, which makes no sense because last time I checked, Becky Lynch has a fucking vagina and two tits, but apparently she's a man. And I just have one obvious question, because when I was in second grade, I learned that only women could get pregnant. So, but they were saying she had a baby. So how is that possible if she's a man? Just a simple fucking question there. Um, Guys like Kevin Owens and Dolph will always stay in the same position. Yes, perennial mid-carders. It's a very popular thing in this company. 95% of wrestlers are perennial mid-carders because, again, WWE can't build any new talent. They don't look at it. Kevin Owens is fat. Yeah, I mean, I always thought Kevin Owens should drop a few pounds. Like it doesn't really help you to carry that extra weight on your body. But it's not the end of the world. Like he's still a good wrestler. Um, Nobody is charismatic like Stone Cold or The Rock anymore. Very true. And it's got a lot to do with the shitty creative team, the PG era, and the inability to build new stars and new characters that are intriguing. Like you got your world champion right now, Drew McIntyre. Like what is he to me? Like he's coming down to the ring in a goofy ass that I don't even know what the fuck that is. Just this plaid scarf around his fucking waist. I mean, it looks very weird. He's coming down to the ring, taking this big ass giant sword and pounding it into the ground, which it looks really weird and goofy. So I guess he's just a guy from Scotland. That's his fucking gimmick. Like, again, there's no excitement to that to me. There's nothing about him that makes me want to watch him. He's just a generic baby face. There's nothing like special about him. I've never seen a single NXT show in my life or 205 live. I mean, back when I used to watch this show and waste my life on it, I watched some NXT pay-per-views, and they were entertaining for the most part. Well, some of them were. 205 live, on the other hand, I have not wasted my time watching that shit. But I mean, when it comes to NXT, you have a lot of promising people down there. But again, they come up to the main roster and they get wasted. And nothing ever happens because there's no good storylines that make people get excited about it, or there's no good character development. I wish PC culture die already so wrestling can go edgy again. And I mean, yeah, people forget like wrestling is just it's not real. It's like you see all these edgy things, or at least you used to, probably not as much anymore because of the PC culture. Like people get on WWE for like the Katie Vick angle, but look at some of the disgusting things you see in movies. And they're not disgusting, but like it's a portrayal. It's not meant to be real. It's meant to be, these people are heels. They're bad guys. They're meant to do bad things, but it's fake. It's not real. It's scripted. So why are people getting all offended about edgy angles, Like I remember they did something really good when Jerry Lawler had his heart attack. They like used it to be edgy. And there's no edgy things anymore because anytime WWE is going to do something edgy, people will call it sexist or racist or offensive to somebody. And it's a shame that so many people are just out there looking to get offended, or out there looking for things in the world to call offensive so they can go on Twitter and brag about it. I've never seen NXT 2. The more time goes on, the more CM Punk, the more the CM Punk pro reigns supreme. SJW don't have any sense of humor. Very true. Yeah, it's like people don't understand that if you make a joke on the basis of race or sexes, like it's a joke. It's joking around. Like it's not meant to be taken seriously, people. That women's main event shit really pissed me off. Even the women's pay-per-view shit was so goddamn annoying. Yeah, again, it's just this idea that women have to be equal to men in every respect of everything. If there's a discrepancy between women and men in society, it's somehow sexist. But in reality, there's differences between men and women. And when it comes to sports, women are not as good as men at physical competition. That's just a physiological fact of the matter. And there's some things that women are better at doing than men. But there's also things that men are doing better at women. I mean, if there were no men in the world, if there were no men in America, we probably wouldn't be, your toilets probably wouldn't get unclogged. Like, like World War II probably wouldn't have been fought. We probably would have lost that war. Like men do a lot of great things, but women also do a lot of great things. We have, attributes that, make men better at some things and women better at other things. And one of those things for men is sports because they're physically stronger. So, of course, the women's division shouldn't be promoted as much as the men, if at all. I've almost like debated with myself, like, should there even be a women's division in wrestling? Because men are superior to women in strength, so they're more entertaining to watch. So, but again, it's like women just got to be equal in everything. Drew got the look, but he has no character. I mean, I'm so sick of people saying, well, he looks good, right? He looks good. Okay, I mean, I guess that's important, but if he can't wrestle and he can't and he can't cut a promo, it's like it doesn't matter how good somebody looks. I'm not here to jerk off to him. I'm here to watch him entertain me. And if he doesn't look good, or if he looks good but can't wrestle, what's the point? And Drew McIntyre, again, I haven't seen a lot of him, but he just looked so generic. I mean, there's like nothing about him that I say, wow, that's really entertaining or that's unique or exciting. He just cuts a very generic promos, wrestles. I mean, he's got a decent looking finisher, but that's about it. I mean, the Claymore looks pretty good, but I mean, his character is just so stale and bland, and that might be because of the non-creative team. But um, like he doesn't seem like a good champion to me. Um, there's no reason to watch, and I don't. Champions are just stalling at this point because there's nobody left. I mean, yeah, what did championships mean anymore? Hardly anything. I mean, when you put the belt in the hands of people like, um, Seth Rollins and you bury him, when you put the belt in the hands of people that then become jobbers, it's like the belt means nothing, especially the IC titles and the US titles. Like those belts are just, they're like fucking toilet paper. I mean, they're like nothing. It's probably better not to have those belts because everybody who's IC champion becomes a jobber or they are a jobber. I mean, I remember back in the day when I was watching, you had people like Santino Marella winning the IC belt. I mean, that belt is just a piece of trash and it means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. And it's not going to take just like, one good match to rebuild those belts back into the prestige that they deserve. It's going to take years upon years of fixing the damage that's been done to these belts. And you can't do that when you don't have a creative team devoted to it. I remember back in the day when Cena was doing his weekly U.S. title challenges, and you can make the argument, well, that was good, that was good, and yes, it was good. It did elevate the U.S. belt for a little bit, but you got to consistently do that year after year for people to take these belts seriously again, and it's going to be really hard to do that. Um, there's a reason why men and women are different. God, these SJW retards. Today it's give it to a legend, then give it to somebody who's been with the company for a long time. Yeah, again, this giving belts to legends people is just so stupid. Like it's just dumb. I mean, the inability for this company to build new stars is just mind-boggling to me. It would be like in a movie if you have a fucking like 90-year-old actor that clearly doesn't have it anymore, be in movies because the Hollywood industry couldn't build any new actors. But obviously that doesn't happen because they can build new stars. Um, it's just embarrassing. It's just totally embarrassing. And like I said, you only have so many time, so many chances to build new stars. And if you repeatedly keep giving those chances to old timers, you're never going to build any new stars. Um, give a wrestler a moment at Mania or Legend to Brock, shows up and disappears. Yeah, I mean, remember Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania a few years back? How fucking shitty was that? Just awful. Um, and again, these are part timers too. Most of these old timers are also part timers. So you give somebody the belt like Goldberg or Brock Lesnar, and he's only there 20% of the time, which totally diminishes what a champion should be. Your champion should be the fucking face of your brand, the face of the company. But he only showed, remember, Brock would be champ, but he would only show up like once every 2 months. It'd be a slap. That's a slap in the face to wrestling fans like myself who dedicated hours of my fucking life watching the show to only see the fucking main event or your main person show up once every month or 2 months. It's a slap in the face. It'd be like watching, like a show like The Walking Dead, and the main character, Rick, only shows up 20% in 20% of the episodes. It's totally illogical and stupid. Hell, I can write a better Raw than those writers who write Raw. Yeah, it's awful. And that's why I call them the non-creative team. Honestly, WWE was better with Cena. Yeah, I mean, I never said Cena was terrible. I always said that I hated the Cena gimmick that the writers gave him with this guy that was obsessed with 9-year-old children, that cut goofy, that had a goofy character. But the fact of the matter is, Cena did wrestle some good matches. He put on some good matches, some great matches actually with a lot of people. And when he was serious, he could cut a good promo. So the problem wasn't as much with Cena himself and his talent as it was with the creative team, who just shoved him down our throats nonstop and gave him a really shitty gimmick and never put anybody over him. Um, I'd be pissing off SJWs if I did and bring back the Attitude Era. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get the Attitude Era anytime soon, or any edgy gimmicks anytime soon, because, again, you got a company that is centered around violence, centered around scripted violence, that tries to promote itself as a PG product. It just blows my mind. Like, how can you call yourself PG if you're if you're a show that has scripted violence on it? It would be like the UFC calling themselves PG. I mean, it's totally absurd. Like this show shouldn't be watched by kids. And it's not a show for kids. It's not a family friendly show. Get the fuck out of here with that. Um, it'd be like trying to turn the Teletubbies into a TV-14 show. Like, it's just not what Teletubbies are for. Teletubbies are for fucking 9-year-old children. Wrestling, on the other hand, is for older people. Probably people high school and up. Um, the belts don't even look like championship belts anymore. They look like toys. Back in the day, you had that Winged Eagle belt that looked like a legit title. Yeah, I mean, the classic Winged Eagle belt was a very good looking belt. There's no doubt about it. And then you had the spinner belt, which was that Cena brought into it, which, again, it wasn't Cena that brought it in. It was the creative team that looked like a fucking toy. And now they're calling, now they created the Universal title, which is a gay ass name for a belt. Just a terrible name. Uh, I mean, also, so they're the champion of the universe now. They just couldn't call it the WWE. They couldn't just have the WWE Championship and the World Heavyweight Championship. And the World Heavyweight Championship back in the day, it looked good, but of course they changed everything around now. Those belts look like a joke, a kitty belt. The ugliest I've ever seen are the tag belts from 2010. They look like pennies. The main belt should be the big gold World Heavyweight Championship belt. That belt looked more credible today. Yeah, than the belts today. Yeah, that World Heavyweight Championship belt, which existed from what I think 2002 until maybe 2015. That was a good looking belt. Like, it looked cool. It looked badass. It looked like a real championship belt. And it's just everything about this company is shitty. And it's like, over these last 5 years, it seems like they keep changing the belts around. It's like they can't ever settle on. Like, it's so confusing to me. Like, at one point they had two belts representing one championship. Remember when Bryan won those belts at WrestleMania and he's holding up two fucking belts like a fucking weirdo? It's like they couldn't just keep the WWE Championship and the World Heavyweight Championship. They had to change things up and make them more shitty. Belts literally look shitty, shitty every year. That belt was from WCW. Triple H had it so damn long in the early 2000s. Raw was better. Yeah, I mean, I remember the World Heavyweight Championship belt. That was just a lot. I wish they would bring that back, because it looks it looks cool. And I mean, the WWE Championship belt, I mean, it looked okay, I guess. The thing I didn't like about it was the spinning aspect. It just looked really gay, to me. Brand split got to go. The roster sucks. I mean, yeah, I'm not a big fan of the brand split. I mean, I don't think it matters that much. It just really comes down to the fact, like, the creative team. At the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. I mean, you could do all these weird ass things, like have a brand split or not, how the belts look or not. whether you want to have SmackDown and Raw exclusive belts. I mean, you could debate all these things. Um, but at the end of the day, it really comes down to the creative team's ability to build good shit. 02 to 05 was a Triple H show. That was the only time SmackDown was better than Raw. 02, 03. Yeah, I remember watching SmackDown back in the day when they had, Batista and Undertaker, Edge. I mean, those were the good days, with the ruthless aggression era. Um, and Batista and Undertaker really had a good rivalry there from, um, the mid 2000s there. 2006, I think, 2007, sometime around that. And I always go back and watch some of that shit, and it's just a totally different feel than it is from. I mean, you actually had toughness. Now you got fucking Kofi Kingston twerking in the fucking ring. But it's like, can you imagine fucking Batista or Edge getting down on all fours and twerking in the ring, like I saw on television today? I mean, you got fucking people goofing around during a fucking match. I mean, I get that's their gimmick, but it's like, come on, it's the middle of the match. Can we be serious here? You actually had tough guys in the ring. It's like, I don't feel like that today. I feel like there's a bunch of fake tough guys. And again, it doesn't help that the product is PG, because all the wrestlers have to act like little children now, and they got to PG themselves to act like little children so they don't offend anybody or they don't swear, so they get in trouble with the FCC or whoever regulates this shit. I mean, back in the day, Batista, Undertaker, these were guys that you actually looked at and you're like, wow, he looks like a tough motherfucker to me. Now you look at somebody like Kofi Kingston, like it's a total difference. All those guys were smart to leave wrestling. WWE just embarrassed so many guys when they returned. Yeah, I remember Batista left, I think, in 2010, and I think he said he didn't like the direction the company was going anymore. And I agree. I mean, the company was definitely getting worse and worse and worse, and heading down that path of just becoming shit, coming PG, and not being edgy anymore. And Batista returned for a little bit, but I even think that was fucked up. Um, I can't believe those goof jobbers, New Day, still in the company. They're breaking kayfabe every day with up, up, down, down. Yeah, that's another thing. I mean, I get the business is different from what it was back in the 70s or 80s. I get kayfabe is dead. But I mean, can we still have some resemblance of kayfabe? I mean, can we have, like, wouldn't that be cool if, you had, like heels that went on Twitter and called out fans, heels that would confront people in public, like that would be cool. Or heels that would maintain their character in interviews, and maintain their character outside of the ring, at least to a degree. I mean, I get that. I get times are different now, but it's like, can wrestlers still maintain some form of kayfabe? You got the fucking Undertaker, which was like the last man standing with kayfabe, and of course they ruined him. I mean, I'm not asking for them to go back to the 80s or not, the 80s in terms of that, but it's like, come on, like they. And I get it, but it's like, can we still have some form of it? Um, 2002 Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar was way more badass than the PG version of it. Yeah, I mean, there so many feuds back then were so much better than they were today. And but even I will say that Brock Lesnar Undertaker feud, I think it was in 2014 or 2015. The WrestleMania match sucked, but they had a Hell in a Cell match um that was actually really good. Um, but they do, again, they're very limited in what they can do now with the PG era and with a creative team that sucks. Life is so depressing in 2021. Yeah, I agree. This show just made me depressed. I got to agree with that, and it made me depressed, but it also reminded me why I don't watch this company, and it reminded me how many hours of my life I have saved over the last 2 years not watching this. Batista cut an amazing promo in 2014 where he said, "Where the real men at?" Yeah, he was a very good heel, I gotta say. He cut a lot of good promos as a heel, and I very much enjoyed his work, working as a heel, from in 2010, in his last year with the company. Um, and I think they should have returned him as a heel. Um, and when he originally came back in 2014. I mean, you got to say though, he was pretty shitty in the ring. Like I think he could have done more to get back in ring shape. I don't think he was up to par when it came to wrestling, but I think they should have returned him as a heel because he showed in 2009, 2010 that he could really cut a good promo as a heel. Um, 2002 Taker versus Brock is better than 2014 Taker versus Brock. I mean, pretty much everything back in the day is better than shit today. I mean, I mean, it's not even close. And again, it's got to do with the WWE's inability to build new talent, and the WWE being TV PG instead of TV 14. I think about ending my life because of depression. Well, don't do that, and I hope nobody does that. But I'm not a psychologist, so um, I don't know what to fucking say to that. But hopefully everything gets better in the world for people. I know it's been a tough time with the lockdowns and COVID and everything that's happened in 2020. But hopefully better things are on the horizon because these lockdowns are not fun. But I'm very thirsty and I'm getting tired, so I think I'm gonna end this video. But to wrap it up, Raw Legends night sucked, and this just showed why WWE sucks as a whole. So there you go, people.